Hi y'all, it's Nikki with Hyde Homes, and I'm here with Teresa Milchuck. She's been with First Bank for the past 12 years, and she is an expert on mortgages. Hi Teresa.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I have so many questions for you.
And I will try my best to answer.
Okay, so interest rates, mortgages, buying a home right now, it's all over the news. Is right now a good time to buy a home?
Well, I think the question is, why would you wait? Interest rates, as everybody knows, has increased significantly over the last year. At least 7 hikes that we've had, and we do expect another one this year alone. So I think now is actually the perfect time to buy.
So it's a little bit harder for people to get mortgages though, isn't it?
I don't think it's harder. I think the only, with the price increases of homes has made it more difficult for people to qualify. But there are many programs out there that banks and lenders have that can help the first-time home buyer with 100% programs, which means no money down.
So 100% means no money down, the whole loan is completely financed?
That's correct.
Oh, that's
right.
great.
So there's lots of opportunities for people to still purchase.
What are some of the financing options where buyers don't have to bring any money down?
So that as far as options, there's several government programs. There's also banks and lenders have 100% programs available, and they can vary depending on which company you call and who you use.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then what about closing costs? A lot of buyers don't know what closing costs are. What should buyers expect when they're closing a loan?
So there's, some contributing factors to closing costs, and I think that's one of the biggest questions or ways for customers to get confused. Truly, there's bank fees, and then there's your third-party fees, and then escrows. In some other states, they call them impounds, but we call them escrows here in Alabama. So there's actually 3 parts to closing cost. The lenders and the banks can only control the bank fees. We cannot control the third-party fees, and those would consist of appraiser, credit report. Anybody pretty much that touches that loan in the state of Alabama is going to get paid on that loan.
They're not going to work for free.
That is correct. That's right. We are paying for their services. So those are the 3 contributing factors to closing costs. So your bank or lender fees, which consist of origination, processing, underwriting fee, discount points if you wanted to use that to buy down the rate, that would be part of the bank fees. And then you have the third-party closing costs, which are fees we can't control. Those third-party companies that help everybody get to the table, the title company, attorneys fees, all that. And then we have the escrows, which are your taxes and insurance on the new property. And depending on when you close and what time of the year you close, is how much, most companies will hold back 2 to 3 months of escrow for your insurance and your taxes, and we'll hold that in a little kettle called escrow, and then we pay the 1-year premium in advance at the closing table. So those are collected at closing as well.
So if a buyer closes today, the taxes are paid for this year, basically.
So the taxes would be prorated to the end of the year and then collected again at the beginning of the year. So taxes are collected on December 31st, and then from the lender, and then collected again for next year.
Okay.
But your taxes and insurance, 9 times out of 10, unless the borrower chooses to waive escrow, which means they pay their taxes and insurance separately, that would be included in your payment. So you would receive a notification from the tax assessor's office October timeframe.
Okay.
And a lot of people, we get a lot of calls saying, hey Teresa, my taxes are due. It's not your taxes. If you actually look, there's a little notification there on that letter from the state of Alabama that says this is a notification that your taxes are due. But don't worry, the lender will collect those taxes again December 31st, and you really won't see any difference.
So it's not anything they have to stress about.
Correct.
It's all put into that loan.
That's correct.
Okay,
That's right.
and is that FHA, VA, most common loans, or is it?
So you can't waive escrow on government loans, but you can waive escrow on conventional. And 9 times out of 10, customers just like it all together. I mean, it's obviously easier to pay your taxes and insurance, principal and interest all together in one lump sum payment. So that is something that is the norm. But if they waive escrow, that's something that the customer's normally pretty educated on, and that's something that they would request. And that's something that the lender can approve and work out at closing for them too.
A little too complicated for me. I like to keep it simple.
The tax conversation.
I appreciate you, making it one payment for me.
Yeah, me too. Mine's included in one payment.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's right.
And then you said a USDA loan, they don't really need money down, but if they put money down, does that help them in any way?
I mean, it does lower your payment if you put money down. The benefit of USDA is 100% for customers. It's really great for first-time home buyers as well. That really kind of helps them get into a home instead of paying those very high rent prices right now, which is so much higher than what they used to be. But, it does help them get into a home quickly. And if the seller right now is, we're seeing more sellers contributing to closing cost than what we had in the previous couple of years where it was more of a buyer's market. It's leveling out now to where the seller has a little bit more power and control of the transaction. And they are offering now to pay some of those closing costs.
So Hyde Homes will pay all closing costs and prepaids when we work with First Bank.
That's right.
Typically, how much is that saving a buyer?
So it can save anywhere up to 2 to 3% of the actual purchase price. So closing costs, depending on the loan program, are allocated. You're allocated a certain amount for seller paid. We call it seller paid concessions in the lending world, but it's really what is the seller paying. And 9 times out of 10, with the cost that Hyde is paying, all closing costs are paid for. Really what the customer is bringing to closing is their down payment of choice, their escrows, taxes and insurance on the new property, minus any earnest money that they put down. So really it's just a very clean purchase transaction for them, and usually Hyde Homes picks up the rest of that.
Pretty simple.
Very simple.
So if a buyer is on the fence and they think, okay, prices have dropped and this might be my time to get into the market, but they're a little bit worried about interest rates, is there options to refinance on these loans later on?
Yes, and we actually at First Bank have a customer loyalty program which allows our borrowers who close this year in 2023, if the rates drop a point or more in the next 3 years, we will refinance them with 0 bank fees. Now, there are still third-party fees involved. Remember from the previous conversation, those are fees we can't control, but those could be paid at closing, or if the appraisal value comes in on the refinance, which it probably would on a new home, you can roll those fees into the loan. But there would be 0 bank fees with our customer loyalty program.
Okay. If a buyer gets into a loan now, will they be able to refinance it in the future if rates drop?
Absolutely. I think the most important thing, and I'm going to try to keep this simple because again, I'm trying to just explain what refinancing is. It means when the rates drop, usually you want to refinance your interest rate or lower that interest rate if they drop a point or more.
A point or more.
That's kind of the generic rule that we have. And also a good question to ask is if you plan on being in your home longer than 5 years. Because remember, refinance isn't free. You are paying closing costs again. And depending on the appraised value, which really a refinance all comes down to that appraisal value, we're going to be ordering a new appraisal. And a lot of people say, gosh, Teresa, I just bought my home a year ago. Do I need another appraisal? Yes, because appraisals are only good for 6 months. And this is a different loan. So a refinance, it is a lowering of the interest rate, and your term, which is a 30-year fixed or a 15-year fixed, 9 times out of 10, starts over. So make sure that if your customers or your clients are interested in refinancing, that they talk to a lender that asks those questions, because when those rates do drop, you're going to get a ton of lenders calling from all over the country and locally to refinance. But it doesn't make it necessarily the right decision for you and your family. The question is, how long do you plan on being in your home? And if they're in their home usually longer than 4 to 5 years, then it makes sense to refinance.
Absolutely. If I was looking at buying a home now with the plans to refinance in the future, I see a lot of lenders online, but I really like to sit down and draw out the numbers. Are you guys local?
Yes, I think everybody in Alabama knows that First Bank is local. Hopefully if they don't, they should know us. I have a team, I am the regional for Alabama, but I do live in Huntsville and work with Hyde Homes as a partner, along with a lot of other great lenders that you have on your list. I know them personally and they're fantastic as well. I think the key, hun, is to make sure that you go with someone that you're comfortable with. And having a local loan officer or a local finance person that's helping you through the process. Remember, this is my community too. And I am investing in my community by helping others in the community. So it's important to me that I'm available, that my team is available, that the customer can call us nights and weekends. And we also have local underwriting and processing. And in today's world, that's very important. We can get loans done for somebody that's moving into Huntsville, wants to buy a Hyde home, and they need to close like in 2 weeks. Well, we can close within, clear to close within 7 days.
Oh, wow.
Of course, the borrower has to work on their part, and I harass them until they get their job done. I expect them to help me as a partner to get the loan closed as well and get to the table quickly. But I do think it's very important to have that relationship. Buying a home is scary. It's a big deal, and it shouldn't be. It's very exciting, but it is a scary thing because it's not a car. You're buying an investment and the biggest purchase of your life. And I would think that it would be important to have people there that care about you and your family as much as you do. So I think that's really important.
And us being a small local builder, that's also very important to us. I know that's why Hyde partners with y'all in First Bank.
Yes.
Is because you are involved in the community.
Yes.
And these homes that you guys are financing, if they weren't good, sound investments, you wouldn't be giving out loans for them. Is that correct?
Of course, absolutely. And our clients, we've had clients, I've been at First Bank 12 years, and I have clients now that bought a home 5 years ago. The average home buyer stays in their home 5 to 7 years and they move on to a new home. Guess what? I'm actually getting those calls from customers that bought Hyde Homes 5 years ago, and now they're moving on to larger homes for themselves. And also other Hyde Homes they're purchasing. They're going from one Hyde home to another. So it's just kind of nice to have that relationship, and it gives them comfort knowing that the trust was there 5 years ago, and it's just an honor for us to help them again and to get into a beautiful new Hyde home.
I love that, because we do have 3 different series of home: the Progress,
Exactly.
Traditional, to the Premier. So
Yes.
someone can start in a Progress home
And end up in a Premier.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And that's the goal, right?
And we're with them throughout the whole thing.
Exactly. So they have a relationship with Hyde Homes. They still have that relationship with First Bank. And the second transaction is so much more fun because they could kind of teach a class by the time we're finished with them.
Yeah, you give buyers so much
We
information,
do.
right?
Yes.
You give them an email update every single time anything happens on their loan. Y'all still do that?
Always, always. And not only that, but it is, I think a lot of the times if a builder recommends a lender that they think that there's some kind of special deal going on in the cases, that is not the case. When the buyer makes contact with the lender, just want to make it clear, we actually represent the borrower. We don't represent the seller. We certainly don't represent the builder, but we have a fiduciary responsibility to ensure that that borrower is taken care of from beginning to end. We work for them, and we want to make sure that they are educated on what they're getting, answer any questions that they have, and that's what we're always there for.
I understand that, and I really respect that. And thank you for all the help that you've given my buyers throughout the
You're welcome. Thank you.
throughout the process.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. That's sweet.
How important is it to buy a home today as opposed to waiting?
So my husband is a retired veteran, and we moved here 20 years ago. And he was active duty, and we moved 15 times in 20 years and bought 6 or 7 homes. And if you think about a veteran doing that, moving and purchasing a home every 2 years just to have the home, right? I would have to say that it's the American dream. People coming here to the country, people living in our country, families, regardless of ethnic backgrounds or status of income coming in. Everybody's dream in America is to have a home and to have a place for their children to be raised, or just to have a place for their spouses to be with each other, or just a place that you can call your own. I think it is something that is very important, not only to our economy, but to people, and to feel that they're working hard and that owning a home is achieving the American dream.
While we were talking, I saw one of our newest team members, Lindell. Lindell,
awesome.
This is Teresa with First Bank.
Nice to meet you, hon.
Hi, I'm Lindell, Hyde Home newest sales professional. I'm here with Madison County Finance Loan Officer, Ms. Teresa. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a couple questions I want to ask. My first question is, would you explain the difference between the 3-2-1 buydown and the 2-1 buydown?
Sure. So it's a temporary buy down is what it is. And really, so when your borrower has, or your client has an interest rate, they're locked in at that fixed rate, right? So a buy down is usually a seller will contribute to help buying down that interest rate. But it's temporary. On a 3-2-1 buy down, the first rate that the customer would pay the first year of the note would be 3%.
Right.
And then the second year would be 4%, and then the third year would be 5%. But then they go back to their normal rate on the end of that last term to the six-year interest rate. The 6% interest rate. And on a 2-1 buy down, kind of the same premise, right? If the interest rate's 6% when you close, you would be paying for the first year the 4% interest rate, and then 5%, and then back to your normal rate of 6%. So it is a temporary way to buy down the rate, which is really kind of a very popular thing right now. We've always had it, but it's becoming more and more popular because people are hoping that those interest rates go down, and they can refinance their rate when the rates go down. But for the time that when the rates, when they're waiting for the rates to go down, they would have a lower payment for a little bit of the term of the loan.
Okay. With so many programs that's available, what are some of the qualifications I can tell my
Well, that
buyers?
is the question of the day from an agent to a lender, right? What do they qualify for? So, great question, honey. And I get a lot of people say, what do they qualify for? What do they qualify for? Great question, but the truth is the best advice I could give to any realtor or a builder realtor out there is to let the borrower contact several lenders, and let those lenders discuss the specific loan programs and the client's need, because they tend to tell their finance person everything that you may not realize. And there's a lot of contributing factors when it comes to qualifying: debt to income ratio, credit scores, loan programs, all of those things that we see once they actually apply. So really the best thing you can do is to just send them to a lender, let the lender qualify them, and have them issue a pre-approval letter to you.
Okay. Right. That's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much.
Nice
for
to
your
meet you.
time.
Welcome to Hyde. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
So the question is, you all have been lending for the past 12 years. How much do you care for your clients?
Wow. I would say that oftentimes it feels like we care more about getting them into a home than they do, right? Sometimes maybe a little bit. But I would say that caring is the most important part. And I think anybody that knows us in town knows how much we truly are passionate about our clients. And Bailey's my daughter-in-law, the next generation, right? And first-time home buyers, and she's actually got her friends that are calling her now to help purchase a home. And I think the caring is felt. When we formed this team, if you don't care, you're not going to work with me, right? Right. And I found the two most caring, amazing people in the world to support me so that I can do my job for the state as well with First Bank. So I think caring is the most important part. If you don't care about your clients, they're not just a number, they're families, they're children, they're grandchildren. And when we close a loan and families refer us their friends or their family or their kids to help them, that tells us that we've done a great job. So if you can trust your kids to us, that means the most, right? So it means a lot to us to help our customers purchase a house and to help them.